May 2024, Dr. Kruthika Reddy posed for her dream wedding photos. Dal Lake, Gulmarg, Sonmarg, in every single frame, she gazed at her husband-to-be with complete trust, complete love. What she didn't know was that the man promising to love her forever was actually already planning to kill her. Less than a year later, Kruthika would die in her childhood bedroom, alone, in agony, while the man who had sworn to protect her sat in the next room, watching Netflix.
Welcome to Welted Marigold. I'm your storyteller Ambica, and tonight's story is one that will destroy every assumption you have about love, marriage, and trust. Because sometimes your soulmate is also your killer.
Marathahalli, Bengaluru 2023. A middle-class neighborhood where dreams are built one sacrifice at a time, where parents give up everything so their children can have everything. For some context, from a South Asian perspective, this is the heart of middle-class India, where becoming a doctor isn't just a career choice, it's almost like an entire family's dream, identity, where parents mortgage their homes, sell ancestral land, and work multiple jobs to fund their children's medical education. In a modest apartment lived the Reddy family. Munni Reddy, 58, a retired electrical engineer whose hands were rough from the decades of hard work. His wife, Saujanya, a lawyer who had fought her way through a male-dominated profession to build her own practice so that she could give her daughters the dreams that she had for them. Nikita, the elder one, was already settled. Radiologist, good marriage, everything a parent would want. In Indian families, once one child is successfully settled, all attention then turns to the next. But the youngest daughter, Kruthika, was special. She really was. From the time she could walk, Kruthika had this hunger for knowledge that amazed everyone. While other kids played with toys, she played with medical books. While they watched cartoons, she watched medical documentaries. Her dream to become a doctor. Not just any doctor, the best doctor she could possibly be. Now, in India, medical entrance exams are among the most competitive in the world. The NEET exam sees over 2 million students competing for just 90,000 seats. Families spend lakhs on coaching, often taking massive loans they'll spend decades repaying. But Kruthika didn't just get in. She topped her entire MBBS batch in Bengaluru, a gold medalist. Her professors remembered years later. Then MD in Raichur with distinction, dermatology diploma, fellowship at Victoria Hospital, one of South India's most respected medical institutions. But here's what made Kruthika truly extraordinary. Success never made her cruel. Achievement never made her cold. Dr. Priya Sharma was Kruthika's closest friend at Victoria Hospital. She was quoted as saying Kruthika would cry real tears when she lost a patient. Not dramatic tears for attention, but genuine grief. She felt responsible for every life she touched. And when a treatment worked, when she saved someone, she would do this tiny dance and whisper, "Thank you," to whatever gods were listening. Because if you think about it, medicine wasn't just a job for her. It was a calling, a purpose. The Reddy family had poured everything into making this dream real. Indian parents don't just support their children's education. They sacrifice their entire lives for it. It's common for families to live in smaller homes, eat simpler meals, and give up on a lot of luxuries for years just to fund their child's dream. Muni had sold his father's ancestral land to pay for coaching classes. Saujanya worked late evening shifts, coming home exhausted, then staying up till dawn helping Kruthika study.
Medical college fees that forced them to mortgage even their home. Books, equipment, living expenses, every rupee mattered. They ate simple meals so Kruthika could have the best in education. The best education that money could buy.
But watching their daughter succeed, seeing her become the doctor she had always wanted to be known as, every sacrifice made that worth it. There was just one small problem in Kruthika's otherwise perfect life. One tiny flaw that seemed completely manageable. Since her teenage years, she had struggled with digestive issues. Stomach problems that caused nausea and sometimes vomiting, especially when she was stressed or ate certain kinds of foods. Now, in India, digestive issues can be pretty common, often attributed to eating spicy or oily or irregular eating schedules due to study pressure or stress. A lot of students during their college or school years study at a stretch for 12, 13 hours. And this can also lead to problems in the digestive tract. Most families treat these as minor inconveniences, manageable with home remedies and simple medications. This wasn't some rare disease or some disease that would take her life. Millions of people deal with similar issues. Her family had consulted doctors, tried different treatments. Some helped temporarily, and the condition was manageable overall. Kruthika had learned to live with it gracefully. She would carry antacids, excuse herself politely when needed to, stick to simple meals, even at parties. No big deal. Except it would become a very big deal to someone
Who was supposed to love her unconditionally. Someone who was supposed to protect her. Someone who would use her vulnerability as a perfect weapon.
Victoria Hospital, October 2023. The doctor's common area during tea break. You know the scene, exhausted doctors, medical residents, gossiping, complaining about long shifts, sleep deprived, sharing hospital stories. For some context around what happens in Indian hospitals and social ecosystems there. Doctors don't just work together, they become like extended families. You're spending so much time together that you know the ins and outs of another person. Marriages between medical colleagues are extremely common and highly encouraged actually, because they can share in each other's stress moments, understand each other better. That's when Dr. Priya decided to play matchmaker. Kruthika meet Mahendra. He's a gastroenterologist. Really good guy. Dr. Mahendra Reddy, 30 years old. On paper, he looked perfect. MBBS in general medicine, MS in gastrosurgery, respected reputation at the hospital. His family seemed equally impressive. Father Srinivas ran Balaji Medical, a pharmaceutical supply business serving Bengaluru's medical community for over 20 years. Mother was a homemaker. Twin brother Nagendra, also a doctor. Elder brother Raghav, handling surgical equipment distribution. Now in India, a family where children are educated well, where parents have good monetary standing in the society, is considered a good family to get into. And in this case, there was an established business, multiple doctors, respectable social standing, the kind of family that makes parents proud to make a marriage alliance in. Successful, established, respectable. But you know what they say about appearances? The introduction seemed innocent, just colleagues meeting through mutual friends. But when Mahendra learned about Kruthika's digestive problems, something shifted in his eyes. Most people would respond with sympathy or empathy, understanding, maybe offer helpful suggestions. Mahendra responded like a scientist studying a lab rat. He asked detailed questions. What triggers the episodes? How long do they last? What medications help? Which situations make it worse? To everyone watching, including Kruthika, it looked like genuine medical concern. Maybe that's how a doctor would respond if you think about it. A caring doctor who knows about gastric issues. A doctor wanting to help his potential girlfriend manage her condition. In reality, he was gathering data to see her and use her as a lab rat. Now for 6 months, Mahendra played the perfect boyfriend. And I mean perfect. He would bring her specially prepared herbal teas, research dietary changes that might help, wait for her after long surgery shifts, drive her home when she worked late. When Kruthika felt sick at hospital gatherings, Mahendra would quietly even help her step outside, get her water, make sure she was comfortable. Never made a scene out of it, never drew attention to her to embarrass her. Now, Dr. Priya was also quoted as saying, "We all thought he was being so caring, so incredible, so understanding about her health issues." We joked that Kruthika had found her perfect match, a doctor who not only accepted her condition, but actively worked to manage and help her manage it. Anyone seeing that would think it was a perfect match, if only they knew what kind of matching Mahendra was actually doing. When Kruthika brought him home to meet her parents, the Reddys fell in love with him immediately. Let's paint a picture for you. Respectful young man touching the elders' feet, asking thoughtful questions about family values, showing genuine concern for Kruthika's well-being, educated equally to Kruthika from a good family background. The way a potential groom interacts with the bride's parents in India is quite crucial because it tells the family what kind of a person he is, what kind of a family he comes from. Mahendra played this role perfectly to the T. He showed respect towards the elders, concern about family honor, asking about traditions and customs. But it was his questions about her health that really won them over. Muni Reddy later told the police he wanted to know her complete medical history, what treatments had been tried, what worked, what didn't. I thought he was being thorough, being genuinely caring about helping her. He was being thorough, all right, just not for the reasons they thought. Both families met several times over the next few months. Everything went smoothly. Everything checked out perfectly. Now, from an Indian marriage perspective, Indian marriages involve a lot of things. They involve extensive family negotiations over horoscope matching by astrologers, discussions about dowry and gifts, meetings between extended families. Here, in this case, the horoscopes were compatible, the financial discussions went smoothly, family values aligned. Everything really went on smoothly. And then, of course, the engagement was announced. Within 3 months of formal introduction, the engagement was fixed. But while everyone else was planning a wedding, Mahendra was planning something much darker. Every question about Kruthika's health, every expression of concern about her condition, every offer to help manage her symptoms, he was being really very helpful. He was building a detailed profile. Now in retrospect, he was building a detailed profile of his target.
That's the thing. That's what these kind of psychopaths tend to do. It's very terrifying because they don't just stumble into they actually research it and they plan it. They use everything to their advantage. And Mahendra had ultimate advantages. He was a doctor. He had medical knowledge, access to dangerous drugs, and a victim who trusted him implicitly. The perfect setup for the perfect crime.
Kashmir, India, February 2024. If you've ever seen those Bollywood movies with breathtaking mountain scenes, you know why couples dream of getting married there or honeymooning there. Kashmir presents the ultimate romantic destination for Indian couples. It's where Bollywood love stories are filmed because, the background is of mountains, everything looks fresh and crisp. Choosing Kashmir also signals there is some kind of high status. It signals to a wealthier family. Mahendra insisted on Kashmir for their pre-wedding photos. He was quoted as saying to the photographer, "She always wanted to see Dal Lake. I want every moment to be magical for her." The photos look like a fairy tale, holding hands on wooden bridges over Dal Lake in Srinagar, romantic embraces on traditional boats with snow-capped mountains behind them, intimate moments at frozen waterfalls. Every single shot captured what looked like pure joy, bliss, deep love. Mahendra's smile seemed warm and protective. Kruthika glowed with the kind of, glow that you get before your wedding. But knowing what we know now, there's something deeply unsettling, deeply disturbing about these images. Because in every photograph where Kruthika looks at Mahendra with complete faith, complete trust and love, he in his mind is already planning her. Think about that for a moment. While she is choosing wedding jewelry, dreaming about their future together, planning their honeymoon, their life together, he's researching how to kill her. The couple even visited holy sites for blessings. The ancient Shankaracharya temple, the sacred Hazrat Bal Dargah. For context, seeking blessings in India at religious sites during pre-wedding shoots is considered essential for ensuring a happy marriage. Hindu couples visit temples, Muslim couples visit dargahs, often regardless of their personal religious beliefs, because family tradition demands it. All the prayers in the world couldn't protect Kruthika from the evil that was standing right beside her, holding her hand, promising to be there with her forever. May 26, 2024. The wedding that became Bengaluru Society's event of the year almost. 3,000 guests, decorations that took months to plan, traditional ceremonies lasting 3 days, food prepared by the city's best caterers. Muni Reddy, the simple engineer who had sacrificed everything for his daughter's success, performed the ritual with tears streaming down his face. As he gave Mahendra the keys to a 3 crore house, their wedding gift, he whispered, "Take care of my daughter. She's the most precious thing in our lives." Mahendra touched the old man's feet respectfully and promised, "Uncle, I love her more than my own life." 3,000 people witnessed that moment. 3,000 people who thought they were watching a beautiful wedding. Nobody knew they were watching a killer receive his reward for a he was actually planning. South Africa. The honeymoon looked perfect on Instagram. Safari adventures in Kruger National Park, romantic dinners overlooking Table Mountain in Cape Town, beach walks along the garden route. Kruthika called her sister Nikita from Cape Town. "I'm so happy, I could cry. Mahendra planned everything around my stomach issues. He researched every restaurant, every activity. I feel so loved. That's what she said. That's what she told her sister.
But what Kruthika thought as care was in fact a psychopath husband studying his target. Because that's what psychopaths tend to do. They study their target. He was studying and researching and observing every movement of hers and making notes, even on his honeymoon.
Back in Bengaluru, the first few months of marriage seemed really perfect. Kruthika moved into Mahendra's family home, where she was welcomed with warmth and open arms. In traditional Indian marriages, the bride moves into her husband's family home and becomes a part of his family. How well she adapts, how much the in-laws accept her, determines the success of the marriage in many cases. She threw herself into caring for her new family. With the same dedication, she showed her patience. Morning prayers with her mother-in-law, learning traditional recipes, balancing her medical practice with married life. Video calls with her parents showed a glowing, happy bride, adapting beautifully to married life. But then something started to change. The medical community in Bengaluru is quite tight-knit. Doctors socialize together, they celebrate together, network together. These gatherings are crucial for career advancement and professional relationships. For some context, from a South Asian perspective, social events in professional communities serve multiple purposes. They're networking opportunities, ways to maintain status, and spaces where reputations are built or destroyed. Being seen as the perfect couple at these events matters enormously for career advancement. For Kruthika, they became nightmare situations. Her digestive condition didn't follow social calendars. Rich food at parties, stress from long work days, changes in routine, anything would trigger an episode. At first, when this happened, Mahendra would help her quietly. He would step outside with her, bring her water, make sure she was comfortable. The perfect caring husband. But Dr. Priya started noticing something different in Dr. Mahendra's expressions. Instead of concern, I began seeing flashes of embarrassment, irritation. It was so brief I thought I was imagining it, is what she was quoted as saying. The breaking point came at Dr. Suresh Rao's birthday party, an upscale restaurant in UB City Mall. UB City Mall is a fancy mall, and 30 doctors were there to celebrate with their spouses the birthday. 20 minutes into dinner, Kruthika felt the familiar warning signs. She headed for the washroom but didn't make it in time. In the restaurant's elegant corridor, surrounded by Bengaluru's medical elite, she vomited. So when her husband led her outside for fresh air, he overheard a conversation that would change everything. He overheard someone saying, "Poor Mahendra, he married a sick woman. These digestive issues, they're chronic, aren't they? Must be so embarrassing for him in social situations. She seemed perfect otherwise." That conversation hit Mahendra like a poison injection, straight going for his ego.
And then slowly the mask of worry and care and concern started slipping away. And Mahendra started reprimanding almost how, in the manner he was talking to Kruthika. So he would say things like, "Why did you eat that? I told you not to eat that." So it came less out of concern and more out of why. Why would you do that? He was almost berating her. And slowly, just the mask slipped away.
Kruthika, confused by the sudden change, began apologizing for her condition, something she had never done before. She started skipping social events to avoid embarrassing her husband. She began eating alone, trying to hide any discomfort. For the more she tried to accommodate his obvious shame, the more his resentment grew. In his twisted mind, Mahendra began believing that Kruthika's family had deceived him. They had hidden the severity of her condition, that he had been trapped into marriage with damaged goods. He started viewing her as damaged goods. But there was another factor eating at him. Before meeting Kruthika, he had been in a serious relationship with Dr. Sneha Reddy, a colleague from medical school. They had even discussed marriage in 2023. But when Kruthika's proposal came along with its social status, financial benefits, and family connections, Mahendra had broken up with Sneha. Now, seeing his marriage as a mistake to damage goods, he began fantasizing about returning to his ex-girlfriend. There was just one problem. He was already married to Kruthika. This is the moment that Dr. Mahendra Reddy crossed the line from disappointed husband to calculating murderer. Instead of seeking marriage counseling, instead of having honest conversations about managing chronic illnesses, instead of considering separation if he really was so unhappy, he started to plan her murder. Murder, in his twisted logic, seemed like a cleaner solution than divorce. Because in India, sometimes there is a stigma that is associated with divorce. Mahendra made a choice that reveals the depth of his narcissism and complete lack of human empathy. He decided to use his medical knowledge meant to save lives, to his own wife. And because he was a doctor, because his father owned a medical supply business, because Kruthika trusted him implicitly, he had the perfect weapon. This perfect weapon was Propofol. The drug he would use to kill Kruthika isn't available to regular people. It's an intravenous anesthetic used only in hospitals for surgical procedures. And here's how Propofol works. When given correctly, calculated by patient weight and medical history, it safely puts patients to sleep for surgery. They wake up when the procedure is complete. But an overdose, breathing slowly stops. Heart rate becomes irregular and then stops. It looks exactly like a cardiac arrest from natural causes, but it isn't. And here's the most terrifying part. Unless you specifically test for Propofol, it doesn't show up. In routine post-mortem examinations, it breaks down quickly in the body, leaving minimal traces. Through his father's pharmaceutical business, Balaji Medical, Mahendra had easy access to hospital-grade medications. The family had been supplying Bengaluru's medical community for 20 years. So nobody really questioned it when the son of the business owner requested for specific drugs, specifically a doctor's son. Police later found that between February and April 2025, Mahendra had ordered unusual quantities of Propofol, claiming they were for a research project that he was working on. But Mahendra wasn't researching medical procedures. He was researching methods. Now comes the most disturbing part of this entire case. For 3 months before killing Kruthika, Mahendra conducted human experiments on his own wife. Under the guise of treating her digestive issues, he began giving her different medications and carefully monitoring their effects on her. He would text her throughout the day. How's your energy level? Scale of 1 to 10. Any nausea after morning injection? Feeling drowsy? That's normal. The medication is working. For some context here, wives, Kruthika trusted him implicitly. She would dutifully report every symptom, every change in how she felt, every single side effect. She thought he was just being helpful. He really cared. In reality, she was helping him perfect the method of her own.
And then by April 2025, he had perfected the dosage and understood the method by which he wanted to murder her. He understood how much Propofol would she react to and how he wanted to administer it to her. All he was waiting was for the perfect opportunity to kill her.
As their first wedding anniversary approached, along with the scheduled opening of Kruthika's new clinic. The clinic was called Skin and Scalpel, and it opened on May 4th, 2025. The clinic was another generous gift from her father, a fully equipped dermatology practice worth crores. It should have been the next beautiful chapter in Kruthika's successful career, but instead, it became the deadline for her murder. April 21st, 2025, 2:30 p.m. Gunjur village, Mahendra's family home. Kruthika was reviewing patient files for her upcoming clinic opening when severe abdominal pain struck. Pain so intense, she couldn't stand straight, couldn't focus on anything else. "Mahendra," she called out, voice breaking with agony. "Please help me. Something's very wrong." This was the moment Mahendra had been waiting for. Finally, a legitimate medical emergency that would justify injections, explain her eventual death, and leave no suspicion on him. He came running with his medical bag, playing the concerned husband perfectly. Don't worry, darling. Let me examine you. We'll get this sorted out immediately." Mahendra diagnosed gastritis, a condition that would justify intravenous medication. He told Kruthika he needed to set up an IV drip to give anti-nauseous drugs directly to her bloodstream for faster relief. But here's where
his knowledge as a doctor really became sinister, because he decided to inject her, find an intravenous vein to inject her, not in a prominent vein on her wrist, but instead on her right leg. And his rationale for it was it would be more comfortable. Because the fact of the matter is,
if Kruthika had experienced unusual pain during injection, she might have become suspicious given that she herself was a doctor. Through the thin plastic tube inserted into her leg vein, Mahendra administered a mixture of legitimate pentapazole for gastritis and a small dose of propofol. The pentapazole actually helped her nausea, making her trust him more, while the propofol began slowly poisoning her system. "You'll feel much better soon," he told her, holding her hand as the drugs entered her bloodstream. "This should take care of everything." That evening, Mahendra began his monitoring protocol, the same routine he had perfected over previous months. "How are you feeling now? Any improvement? A little better? Still tired though? Okay, that's normal. The medication makes you sleepy. It means it's working, don't worry." What Kruthika interpreted as medical care of her husband, was actually data collection for her own murder. April 22nd, the next morning, Mahendra announced he needed to return to hospital duty, but was concerned about leaving Kruthika alone in her condition. He told her, "I think you should stay at your parents' house today. They can monitor you while I'm at work, and I'll come there directly after my shift." This move was brilliant, and it was a calculated one. If Kruthika died at her parents' house while he was at the hospital with dozens of witnesses to his whereabouts, suspicion would never fall on him. Her parents welcomed their daughter home immediately, thrilled to be able to care for her during her illness. They had no idea they were being set up as unwitting witnesses to April 23rd evening, the final phase of the Kruthika texted about discomfort at the IV site. "The tube area is hurting. Can we just remove it now?" Mahendra's response was a swift, "Not yet, darling. I need to give you one more dose to make sure the infection is completely cleared." She asked, "Infection? Oh, you didn't mention anything about an infection earlier." "Just a precaution," he wrote. "Trust me, I'm a doctor." Then came the most bone-chilling message in this entire case. "I will give you today the last dose, and after that, no pain will be there for you." To Kruthika, it meant relief from her medical problems. To Mahendra, it meant she would be dead by morning. 9:30 p.m., April 23rd, 2025. Marathahalli at her parents' home. Mahendra arrived with his medical bag, warmly greeted by his in-laws who were grateful for his dedicated care of their daughter. After dinner with the family, he went to Kruthika's bedroom for what he told everyone would be her final treatment. Kruthika was weak but conscious, trusting her husband completely as he prepared the IV. She had no reason to doubt him. He was a doctor, he was caring. For over a year, he had been her primary health caregiver, her loving husband, her source of comfort during illness. "This is it, sweetheart," he whispered as he prepared the syringe. "After this, you'll never have to suffer again." The syringe contained a lethal dose of propofol, enough to cause respiratory failure within hours. As the clear liquid entered her bloodstream, Kruthika smiled weakly at her husband. "Thank you for taking such good care of me," she whispered. "I love you so much." "I love you too," he replied, kissing her forehead as the drug began shutting down her nervous system. Then Mahendra did something that reveals the true depths of his evil. He left the room, went to the living area, logged into Netflix on his phone, and spent the next 2 hours watching comedy shows. While his wife slowly died in the next room, at 11:30 p.m., he checked on her once. Her breathing was labored, pulse weak. Instead of calling for help, instead of performing CPR, instead of rushing her to her hospital, he knew as a doctor he could do all of that. He returned to the living room and went to sleep on the couch. He wanted to ensure there was no chance of survival. April 24th, 2025, 7:30 a.m. Saujanya Reddy knocked gently on her daughter's bedroom door. "Kruthika beta, breakfast is ready," but there was no response. "Kruthika, are you feeling better this morning?" Still nothing. Growing concerned, she opened the door to find Mahendra already by Kruthika's bedside, gently shaking her shoulder. "She won't wake up," he said, his voice expertly pitched to sound worried but not panicked. Kruthika, wake up." And then within moments, the room was filled with family members. Even without medical training, they could see something was terribly wrong. Kruthika was completely unresponsive. Her skin had an unnatural pallor. Her body was already beginning to show signs of rigor mortis. "We need to get her to a hospital immediately," Mahendra announced, taking charge with the authority of a medical professional. They rushed to Kaveri Hospital. Mahendra sitting in the back seat, holding his wife's lifeless hand, occasionally calling out, "Stay with me, Kruthika, stay with me. We are almost there." But when they arrived, emergency room doctors took one look and knew immediately. Dr. Sunil Kumar, the attending physician, delivered the devastating news. "I'm sorry, she's been dead for several hours. There's nothing we can do." What happened next was a masterclass in psychological manipulation. Mahendra's reaction was perfectly pitched, not over the top, which might seem suspicious, but devastated enough to appear genuine. He sobbed, "I'm a doctor. I should have saved her. I should have been able to save her. What kind of a husband am I? What kind of a doctor am I?" The Reddy family, drowning in their own grief, immediately moved to comfort their son-in-law. They saw his self-blame as proof of his love for their daughter. "It's not your fault," Mani Reddy said through his ears. "You did everything possible, everything you could. You took such good care of her. She's with God now," Saujanya whispered, embracing Mahendra. "She's not suffering anymore." If only they knew how right they were. Kruthika wasn't suffering anymore because her husband and she was no longer with him. Given Kruthika's sudden death at such a young age, hospital protocol required doctors to suggest a post-mortem examination. Dr. Kumar approached the family and shared this information. The suggestion hit the family like another blow. The thought of their daughter's body being opened up to be examined, treated as an evidence rather than their beloved child, was quite chilling, quite unbearable. Most of the family wanted to just refuse and wanted to take Kruthika home, perform her last rites with dignity and love, and begin the mourning process. To them, she had died of natural causes. There was no other thought really in their minds. But one person disagreed quite strongly, and that was Dr. Nikita Reddy, Kruthika's elder sister, a radiologist herself. She had a different perspective about it. As a medical professional, she understood that healthy individuals, young people like her, don't just die in their sleep without any explanation. Something didn't quite add up. She told her parents firmly Kruthika's digestive issues were manageable. She was planning to open her clinic next week. She was excited about the future. "Papa, Mummy, people don't just die from gastritis."
So Nikita put her foot down because as a doctor she knew there was something off. Someone of her age would not die unnaturally, suddenly, of these kind of circumstances. And when this came to Mahendra's attention, when he got to know that Nikita was putting her foot down and there's going to be a post-mortem, he just was very shocked and he felt unnerved.
Family members later recalled that he became unusually emotional about the prospect. "Please," he begged Nikita, "she's been through enough. Let her rest in peace. I can't bear the thought of the examination. As her husband, I am asking you to reconsider." But Nikita was unmoved. As her sister, as a doctor first, and she stood her ground. While the family was unable to reach a consensus, hospital administration contacted the Marathahali police station to file a medico-legal case. Given the circumstances, sudden death of a young, healthy individual, the police were required to register an unnatural death report. Inspector Ravi Kumar, who took the initial report, later said, "It seemed straightforward at first. Young woman with known medical issues dies at home while being treated by her doctor husband. But the sister's insistence on investigation made us take a closer look." On April 24, 2025, UDR case number 45-2025 was registered at Marathahali police station. The scene of crime team was dispatched to collect evidence from the Reddy family home. What they found there would later prove crucial to the case. The police team collected IV cannula setup from Kruthika's bedroom, all injection bottles and medical equipment Mahendra had used, prescription pads and medical notes in Mahendra's handwriting, Kruthika's mobile phone and laptop, Mahendra's medical bag and its contents. At the time, these seemed like routine evidence collection from an unnatural death case. Nobody suspected they were gathering proof of a perfectly planned. April 25, 2025, Government Medical College, Bengaluru. Dr. Manjunath Swami, the forensic pathologist assigned to Kruthika's case, began the external examination at 10 a.m. Initial observations showed no signs of external trauma, no defensive wounds, no obvious cause of death. During the internal examination, Dr. Swami noted some unusual findings: slight pulmonary edema, mild cardiac congestion, no obvious signs of natural disease progression. The findings were subtle. Dr. Swami later said nothing that immediately screamed, but also nothing that clearly indicated a natural death. Tissue samples from major organs, blood samples, stomach contents, and hair samples were all collected and sent to the State Forensic Science Laboratory for detailed analysis. The most crucial samples, those that would later reveal traces of Propofol, were carefully preserved and labeled for toxicological examination. May 10, 2025, the preliminary post-mortem report was released and it showed nothing definitive. No obvious cause of death, no clear signs of poisoning, no evidence of violence. The report concluded cause of death to be determined pending toxicological analysis. Now on May 15, 2025, just 3 weeks after his wife, he created a new Instagram account under the username Scalp Artist. The account creation date would later become crucial evidence of his state of mind. His first post on this new account was a cryptic message. He wrote, "Every day passed by makes each one a different person." More telling was what the account didn't caption or contain. Not a single photograph of Kruthika, not one memory, not one tribute to his supposedly beloved deceased wife. By July 2025, just 3 months after the Mahendra was posting vacation photos from Tamil Nadu. August brought images from his exotic trip to Pristine Island in Seychelles. In every photo, he looked relaxed, looked happy, unburdened by grief. But the most damning post was on September 15, 2025. 5 months after Kruthika, Mahendra posted a photo from his Goa vacation with this caption: "Maybe God is rewriting the better version of the best pages to make it marvelously amazing." Think about what this means. A man whose wife supposedly died tragically from natural causes, a man who should be drowning in grief and guilt, instead posting about how God was rewriting best pages of his life to make them even more amazing. This of course wasn't grief, this wasn't healing, this was celebration. But this wasn't it, because Mahendra's online activity revealed even more disturbing behavior. Digital forensics later showed that during this time that he was supposed to grieve for his wife, the wife that he had lost to natural causes of death, he was actually using this time to reach out to at least 4 different women, including Dr. Sneha Reddy, his ex-girlfriend, the colleague he had dated before marriage. His approach was consistent. He claimed to be single, available, and looking for a serious relationship. When Dr. Sneha questioned him about his marriage, Mahendra told her an elaborate lie that he had faked his own death to marry Kruthika because his horoscope predicted his first wife would die, and he did it to save Sneha because he loved her. Of course, this is very confusing, but what he meant is that he had faked his own death to marry Kruthika.
The death of his wife actually revealed the mind of a man who was living in his own world, who's thinking about things in a very, very convoluted, strange manner. And in fact, one of his most damning mistakes and damning evidences came through a message that he sent through a payment app to one of his other targets, who had blocked him on all social media after learning about his marriage. Frustrated by her rejection and emboldened by what he thought was his perfect crime, Mahendra sent her this message through PhonePe app: "I killed my wife for you." The woman, Dr. Priyanka Sharma, initially thought this was a sick joke. He had found her through PhonePe. He had decided to message her on PhonePe because he was blocked everywhere else. She screenshot the message and blocked him on PhonePe app as well. But she kept the screenshot, and it would later become the key evidence that unraveled his entire scheme. On October 13, 2025, 6 months after Kruthika's death, Dr. Ramesh Naik at the State Forensic Science Laboratory was reviewing the toxicological analysis of her tissue samples. Advanced chromatography. These tests had been running for months, screening for hundreds of potential substances. Most had come back negative, but one test result made Dr. Naik call his supervisor immediately. "We've got Propofol," he announced. Significant concentrations in liver tissue, traces in blood, and residual amounts in brain tissue. The levels were far above any therapeutic range. They indicated a massive overdose, enough to cause respiratory failure and cardiac arrest. Propofol, as I had mentioned, is not a drug that appears in the body naturally. It's not available over the counter, and it's not something someone accidentally ingests. Its presence in Kruthika's body would only indicate one thing: she had been. At 2:30 p.m. on October 13, 2025, Muni Reddy received a call that would forever change his family's understanding of their daughter's death. "Mr. Reddy, this is Inspector Kumar from Marathahalli Police Station. We need you to come in immediately. The forensic report on your daughter's case has arrived, and there are some developments you need to know about." When the family arrived at the police station, Inspector Kumar delivered the news that shattered their world. "Your daughter was..." The forensic analysis shows she died from a deliberate overdose of Propofol, a hospital anesthetic. The room fell silent. Then Saujanya Reddy's scream pierced the air, a sound of pure anguish, and the officers said they would never forget that scream.
Inspector Kumar's team immediately began tracking Mahendra's whereabouts. The investigation revealed he had relocated to Udupi, about 400 kilometers from Bengaluru, where he was working as a gastroenterologist at Manipal Hospital. To his new colleagues and patients, Mahendra appeared to be a dedicated doctor who had moved to Udupi after his wife's tragic death from natural causes. He had crafted a complete backstory about grieving and needing a fresh start. Nobody suspected they were working alongside. October 14, 2025, 6 a.m. A joint team from Marathahalli and Manipal police surrounded Mahendra's rented apartment. When they knocked on his door, Mahendra appeared calm and unsurprised, almost as if he had been expecting this moment. Dr. Mahendra Reddy, you are under arrest for the of Dr. Kruthika Reddy. You have the right to remain silent. Even during his arrest, Mahendra maintained his innocence and, with almost an eerie composure, he said, "There must have been some mistake. I loved my wife. I would never hurt her." But his digital devices told a very, very different story. The digital evidence collected from him was exploding. His search history revealed months of search into Propofol dosage calculations, undetectable methods for doctors, how long does Propofol stay in system after death, life insurance claims for sudden death, remarriage after spouse death, social acceptance. But the most damaging evidence was his message history. His messages included, "I'm finally free to be with the person I always loved. Kruthika is no longer between us." This is what he wrote to Dr. Sneha Reddy on October 1st, 2025. To Dr. Priyanka Sharma on September 28, 2025, he wrote, "I told you I would do anything for love. I kept my promise." And the message that sealed his fate was sent through phone pay to Dr. Priyanka Sharma. "I killed my wife for you" on September 20th, 2025. During the interrogation, Mahendra initially stuck to his story of innocence, but when confronted with the forensic evidence and his own digital communications, his defense, of course, started to crumble. As the investigation deepened, police discovered that Mahendra wasn't the only criminal in his family. His brother, Dr. Nagendra Reddy and Raghav Reddy, had been involved in multiple fraud and cheating cases since 2018. The most disturbing discovery was that all three brothers had been accused of collectively defrauding and abusing a young woman named Kavita through fake marriage promises and financial fraud. And on April 24th, 2025, the exact same day Kruthika died, Kavita too was found dead from what appeared to be a drug overdose.
While Kavita's case is still under investigation, it's something so bizarre. It is beyond any coincidence that two deaths are related to overdose of drugs to these Reddy brothers.
The Karnataka Medical Council launched its own investigation into Mahendra's conduct. The findings were just damning: violation of medical ethics, misuse of medical knowledge for criminal purposes, abuse of physician-patient trust relationship, bringing disrepute to the medical profession. On November 15, 2025, Dr. Mahendra Reddy's medical license was completely, permanently revoked. He would never be able to practice medicine again. Special Public Prosecutor Advocate Lakshmi Devi was assigned to build the case against Mahendra. With over 20 years of experience in criminal law, she had prosecuted many complex cases. But she later said that Mahendra's case was one that was shockingly filled with such cruelty and was totally unlike anything she had ever dealt with. This wasn't a crime of passion, she explained. This was premeditated by someone who used his medical knowledge, his access to drugs, and his victims' complete trust to commit the perfect crime. The level of planning and manipulation involved was just extraordinary. As of early 2026, Mahendra Reddy is in judicial custody as the legal processes for the murder of his wife, Dr. Kruthika Reddy, moves forward. Following his arrest in October 2025, the case has progressed through several critical stages. The court has not yet reached a final verdict, as trials of this nature in India typically move and involve extensive examination of.
This marks the end of this episode. Until the next episode, stay kind, stay safe.